Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we dive into one of the juiciest debates currently shaking South African politics. It's about the Umkhonto weSizwe party, better known as MK, and the controversial claims made by political commentator Prince Mashele. According to Mashele, the MK party is less of a political movement and more of a family rent collection scheme for former President Jacob Zuma and his children. And he goes further to warn that the party is destined to collapse the moment Zuma steps away. Now that is quite the statement. Let's unpack it carefully, because this isn't just about Zuma or the MK party. It opens up broader questions about political sustainability, personality-driven movements, and the dangers of building parties around individuals instead of ideas. Mashele didn't mince his words. Speaking to media, he alleged that MK parliamentarians are required to cough up 10,000 rand every single month, not for community development, not for building branches, and certainly not for strengthening democracy, but into an account controlled directly by Jacob Zuma. In other words, Mashele is painting MK as a money-making machine for the Zuma family rather than a vehicle of political change. If this is true, it raises massive questions about transparency, accountability, and trust. He described the party as a family project, with Zuma's children allegedly pulling strings behind the scenes. Think about that for a moment. South Africans voted for what they thought was a new political alternative, but if Mashele's claims are accurate, they may have been voting for a family business disguised as a party. It sounds less like the struggle-era MK of the past, and more like a modern-day rent collection scheme with a revolutionary brand name slapped on the front. Mashele argues that once Zuma is no longer in the picture, the MK party will implode. Why? Because it has no real policy framework, no ideological depth, and no grassroots machinery to stand on its own. It survives, he says, entirely on loyalty to one man, Jacob Zuma. That's the glue keeping it together. And glue that depends on one person's charisma is always fragile. This kind of political setup is not unique to South Africa. Across the continent and even the world, we've seen movements rise quickly under the leadership of a single strong figure, only to crumble when that leader fades away. From liberation-era giants to populist outsiders, once the central figure is gone, the party becomes a hollow shell. Mashele is warning that MK is heading straight for that fate. Of course, insiders from the MK camp push back, insisting that the party represents genuine frustration with the ANC and offers a new direction for the country. But even some MK members, speaking quietly and off the record, admit that Zuma's family has significant influence over both finances and decision-making. That perception alone damages credibility. After all, how can a party claim to represent millions when decision-making seems to revolve around one household? And let's be honest, Zuma is no stranger to controversy when it comes to money and influence. His presidency was overshadowed by state capture allegations, and his name still dominates conversations about corruption in South Africa. So when Mashele suggests that MK parliamentarians are effectively paying Zuma rent to keep their seats, it lands with an uncomfortable familiarity. But here's where it gets even more entertaining, depending on how you look at it. Mashele's comments sparked debates not only about MK's survival but also about the idea of succession. Who exactly would take over the MK party if Zuma stepped aside? Would it be one of his children, like Duduzane Zuma, who has shown political ambitions? Or would the party fracture into splinter groups fighting over who inherits the family business? Imagine that for a moment, parliamentarians paying monthly fees, then suddenly trying to decide whether Duduzane or Duduzile gets to be the new landlord. It sounds like an episode of a political soap opera. On a more serious note, Mashele's warning is a reminder of the dangers of personality cult politics. When a party has no solid structures, no clear ideology, and no internal democracy, it cannot outlive its founder. South Africans have seen this story play out before. Think of Cope after Mbeki's fall, or even the IFP struggles after Mangosuthu Buthelezis's long grip on power. Charisma can only take you so far. Now, does this mean MK is doomed already? Not necessarily. In politics, perception is everything, and Zuma still commands loyalty among thousands, maybe even millions, of supporters. For many people, he embodies resistance against the ANC elite and against what they see as unfair treatment by the courts. That loyalty should not be underestimated. But Mashele's point is that loyalty to one man cannot carry a party forever. When that man leaves the stage, the lights may go out with him. The bigger issue here is what this says about the state of South African politics in 2025. Smaller parties often emerge with great energy, but without strong institutions they burn out quickly. Sustainability requires branches, fundraising that is transparent, policies that resonate with ordinary people, and leaders who can step in when the founder steps aside. If MK does not build those structures now, it risks being remembered as a flash in the pan, a Zuma-era curiosity rather than a lasting force. And let's be fair, it's not only MK that faces this problem. Many political movements across the globe are guilty of putting one person on a pedestal. The question is whether South Africa, with all its democratic challenges, can afford another hollow party that collapses as quickly as it rose. Voters deserve more than a family-run business masquerading as a political organization. So, what do you think? Is Prince Mashele right that MK is destined to collapse once Zuma exits the stage? Or do you think the party can reinvent itself, build real structures, and survive beyond its founder? And do you believe the allegations about MPs paying Zuma 10,000 rand every month, or is that just another round of political mudslinging? We'll be watching how MK officials respond, because as of now, they have remained silent. But the silence itself is telling. If the party truly wants to be taken seriously, it needs to address these claims head-on, and more importantly, it needs to show South Africans that it is more than just Zuma Incorporated. That's where we'll leave it for today. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive into South Africa's political dramas. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear whether you think MK has a future or if it's already a sinking ship. Thank you for tuning in, and as always, see you next time.